Right now, as you're listening, a NORAD radar, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, is sweeping the sky above the Korean peninsula. It's not fiction. It's not a drill. It's 24/7, and it's been that way for decades. And if an intercontinental ballistic missile were detected right now, leaving North Korea and heading toward the continental United States, what happens in the next 3 minutes would determine everything. That window, 3 minutes, is all you get between launch detection and mid-course interception. 3 minutes to evaluate, confirm, authorize, and fire. 3 minutes where irreversible decisions happen with incomplete information, under maximum pressure, against a system designed to kill millions. What NORAD operators would do is documented. What you don't know is what happens after they press the button. That's exactly what this video answers. Not the press releases. Not what's politically convenient, but what the numbers, physics, and independent documents actually reveal. What happens when American interceptors fire at a real ICBM? The answer involves $67 billion, 44 interceptors scattered between Alaska and California. A test success rate Pentagon officials won't discuss publicly, and brutally simple arithmetic that breaks the system before you even factor in technology. But to get here, we start in 1983, when an American president made a promise that changed nuclear strategy. Ronald Reagan stood up in March 1983 and proposed something out of a sci-fi movie. A missile shield that'd make nuclear weapons impotent and obsolete. He called it the Strategic Defense Initiative. The press called it Star Wars. Great idea on paper. Intercept Soviet missiles before they hit America, replacing mutually assured destruction with real protection. The problem? Physics didn't cooperate. The SDI never became what Reagan imagined. What was left, after decades of development, cuts, overhauls, and revisions, was the ground-based mid-course defense, the GMD. The system was declared operational in 2004, 2 years after North Korea tested its first nuclear device. The timing was relevant, but the coincidence was embarrassing for other reasons. The GMD operates from 2 bases, Fort Greely in Alaska and Vandenberg in California. It was designed for one specific threat, an accidental launch or small attack by a rogue state, meaning fewer than a dozen missiles. It wasn't designed for Russia. It wasn't designed for saturation attacks. It was built for a 2004 threat, not today's. The system's centerpiece is the GBI, the ground-based interceptor. Each costs roughly $75 million. There are 44 operational. Each carries what engineers call an EKV, the exo-atmospheric kill vehicle. No explosion, no warhead, just kinetic impact. Meet the missile in space at roughly 1,000 kilometers and destroy it through collision. It's like hitting a bullet with another bullet, in motion, in space, against a target moving at over 20 times the speed of sound. Here's the question nobody at the Pentagon answers directly. Why does a $67 billion system have a test success rate of 55%, even in controlled conditions? Once you understand what controlled conditions actually means, everything changes. Let's talk about arithmetic. Not technology, not politics, just pure math. The GMD follows a doctrine called shoot, look, shoot. You don't fire one interceptor, you fire 2, see if the first hits, and if it misses, fire the second. Makes sense, no interceptor's perfect. But here's what it does to the math. Standard protocol is 2 to 4 interceptors per target. With 44 GBIs, the math is simple. 44 divided by 4 equals 11. Best case, 2 per target. You defend against 22 missiles. Conservative approach with 4 per target, 11 missiles. That's the ceiling. Now the other side, defense analysts estimate North Korea has 50 to 60 operational warheads, with capacity for more. They don't need to launch everything at once. The number just has to exceed what GMD can handle, and the math breaks. But here's what makes it worse: the cost asymmetry. A GBI costs $75 million. A North Korean ICBM costs $10 to $15 million. North Korea launches 5 to 7 missiles for the price of one American interceptor. Every launch forces America to spend way more responding. It's economic warfare, and the poorer side is winning. This isn't new. In 1991, during the Gulf War, Patriot missiles were hyped as a huge success against Iraqi Scuds. Pentagon claims 80%, 90%, even 96% success rates. Years later, MIT and Congress showed the real number, 0 to 25%. The Patriots hit guidance systems, not warheads. Broken missiles kept raining down on Israel and Saudi Arabia. The public story was convenient fiction. Why'd the Pentagon get away with it? The war was over. The coalition had won. And nobody wanted to debunk the hero of the moment. This pattern, system presented as working, later analysis showing big problems, isn't just the Patriot. It happens repeatedly. You're probably wondering, is GMD the same story? We'll get there. But before we get there, the math I just gave you is actually generous. It assumes each interceptor hits a real target. The reality? By the time an ICBM reaches space, it's not alone. Here is what happens after an ICBM releases its payload in space. The re-entry vehicle, the warhead, separates from the booster stage. Up to that point, the EKV can track it. The real difficulty lies in what comes along with the warhead. Any missile engineer knows space is designed to fool defenses. No aerodynamic drag. On Earth, heavy things fall faster than light things. That's how you spot a fake warhead. In space, doesn't work. A Mylar balloon the size of a warhead and an actual warhead move identically. Same speed, same path, same heat signature. The EKV can't tell them apart with infrared and optical sensors. This isn't a theoretical vulnerability, it's physics, and it's physics that North Korea knows very well. An ICBM releases dozens of decoys, balloons, chaff, replica warheads, booster fragments. In one launch, the EKV faces 50, 100, or 200 objects on the same path. Which one's real? In space vacuum, no aerodynamics to help, seconds to decide, targets moving at 7 kilometers per second. This is at the absolute limit of what sensors can do. The EKV has failed at this even in controlled tests, where operators know how many decoys there are, know the path, know where the warhead is. The EKV has seconds to process dozens of objects and pick the real one. It's not a software bug. It's a physical limit. Sensors operating at speeds humans can't match in an environment where humans can't help. Now add MIRV. MIRV means multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. One missile, but it releases 3, 6, or 10 separate warheads, each hitting a different target. Every warhead needs its own interceptor. An ICBM with 6 warheads and 20 decoys? That's not a problem. It's mathematically devastating. Instead of 4 interceptors per target, you need 24 for one launch. The Hwasong-17, the monster missile North Korea launched in November 2022, has a diameter and payload designed for MIRV. North Korea hasn't admitted it, but size doesn't lie. And anyone watching satellite imagery knows MIRV is within reach. Then there's MARVs, maneuverable re-entry vehicles. A normal missile follows a predictable arc in space. The EKV calculates where it'll be and positions itself to intercept. A MyRV maneuvers on the way down, changing its path in ways that wreck the calculations. It's like trying to hit a soccer ball on a set path versus one that changes direction at the last second. So here's the answer to the original question. What actually happens when the interceptors fire? They chase ghosts. Now the testing record. This is where theory meets reality. The GMD has run 19 interception tests. About 10 worked. That's 55%. And that number only counts because some launches never got to the interception phase at all due to booster failures. The actual collision rate when the GBI worked is slightly better, but nowhere near comfortable. Here's the catch. Every successful test had operators knowing launch time in advance, knowing the trajectory, facing a single missile with no realistic decoys. Radar and comms were perfect. None faced multiple warheads or sophisticated decoys, nothing like a real attack. In 2019, the Congressional Budget Office said it bluntly. GMD has been tested under conditions that significantly underestimate real attack complexity. MIT showed the same thing. Decoy discrimination wasn't adequately tested in any interception test. The Missile Defense Agency wants GMD to look good. That's what agencies do. But the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, keeps saying something different. In 2020, they said, "The system remains under development, and its actual operational reliability hasn't been convincingly demonstrated." In bureaucratic terms, that's profanity. If you get 55% in ideal tests, real conditions are way worse. Decoys, unknown paths, multiple warheads, effective rates drop to 20–30% in the best-case simple attack scenario. For anything complex, the number gets so low, no official will say it publicly. That's why the $67 billion system has 55% success rates in controlled tests. The real problem is structurally harder than any test can safely simulate without killing the program politically. But, and this matters, while America tested GMD under perfect conditions, North Korea studied its exact structural weaknesses and built missiles to exploit them. Kim Jong-un didn't escalate North Korea's missile program randomly. The timeline shows a calculated, systematic strategy to exploit GMD's weaknesses. November 2017, Hwasong-15 launch. The missile hit 4,500 kilometers altitude on a lofted arc, designed not to overshoot neighbors. Analysts calculated the standard trajectory, 13,000 kilometers range. The entire U.S. East Coast was now in reach. First proof North Korea could actually hit the continental U.S. November 2022, Hwasong-17. The monster missile didn't get that name by chance. At 2.5 meters diameter and over 22 meters long, it's the biggest road-mobile ICBM ever built. Payload capacity? Over 2 tons at intercontinental range, more than enough for a single warhead. The size wasn't accidental. Clear message. This carries multiple warheads. Western analysts got it. April 2023. The least dramatic but most important change. North Korea tested the Hwasong-18, a solid-fuel ICBM. Why does this matter? Liquid fuel missiles, like earlier North Korean ICBMs, need hours of prep work. Tanks filled, equipment positioned, all visible to satellites. That creates a window. Left of launch. Destroy it before it launches through strikes, cyber, or electronic warfare. Solid fuel kills that window. Fuel stays inside, stable forever. Pull it from storage, load it on a launcher, fire in minutes, not hours. No visible prep, no chance for a preemptive strike. Left of launch disappears. The 3 missiles solve 3 distinct GMD problems: range, covering America, single warhead limits, and visible prep that allowed preemption. Each closed one window. North Korea didn't need perfect missiles, just functional ones where quantity overwhelms defense. And the math works for Pyongyang. A $15 million missile forces $75 million interceptors in response. That's deliberate strategy. So, is there an alternative? Any system that actually works? The honest answer, no, not the way you think. Left of launch. Destroy it before launch is theoretically ideal. That's why every briefing includes it as part of layered defense. But there are 3 problems. First, you need intelligence precise enough to know where and when. And solid-fuel Hwasong-18s eliminated that window. Second, you need military assets close enough to strike, which means aircraft or special forces near North Korea. Escalation risk. Third, with their arsenal spread across bunkers and mobile launchers, guaranteeing simultaneous elimination is nearly impossible. Boost phase intercept is theoretically perfect. Missiles slow, hot engine plume, no decoys yet. The catch? You need an interceptor within 100-300 kilometers during ascent, which lasts just minutes. North Korea's border is sealed. No way to position assets close enough for boost phase defense at scale. What about THAAD? It comes up in every North Korea defense discussion. Problem: THAAD tops out at 150 kilometers altitude. An ICBM cruises at over 1,000 kilometers. THAAD can't even reach it. It was designed for short and medium-range missiles. Real threat, but completely different from ICBMs. Aegis BMD on American ships has SM-3 Block 2IA missiles successfully tested against ICBMs in 2020 under specific conditions. Specific means one target, known path, perfect ship position. Scaling that for real defense against decoy-equipped ICBMs? It's the same EKV problem, now floating in a ship with its own vulnerabilities. Layered defense sounds good. One layer fails, the next catches it. Problem: the ICBM layers, boost phase, mid-course GMD, terminal, either can't reach the altitude, face the same decoy problem, or have geographic barriers. For short and medium-range missiles, layered defense actually works. For ICBMs, it's political theater, not real defense. Here's what no briefing admits. If no layer works against ICBMs, left of launch is gone, and the nukes don't defend anything. What actually protects America? The answer was always there. It just requires saying something politically uncomfortable. GMD doesn't protect the United States from a North Korean nuclear attack. What protects the United States is the American nuclear triad. It's 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis logic. Mutually assured destruction. Kim Jong-un wants one thing: his regime's survival. Nuclear attack on America? Total North Korean destruction in hours. He knows. His generals know. North Korea's missiles don't exist to attack. They exist to guarantee that striking North Korea destroys whoever launches. It's deterrence working both ways. That's what stops him, not the 44 Fort Greely interceptors. So why exist? Why spend $67 billion on a system that doesn't work? It solves a different problem, perfectly. The political problem. America needs to show citizens, allies, and the world that it's responding, not accepting the threat. It's reassurance. We have defenses, buttons we can push, missiles we can launch. The Patriot did the same thing in the Gulf War. Didn't really work, but signaled American commitment and reassured allies. GMD does the same, scaled up with a much bigger budget. Not totally wasted. The program generated real tech advances. Not useless either. Against an accidental launch or simple attack, GMD has some chance. But the claim, reliable defense against deliberate North Korean attack, is useful fiction. And the strategists who designed it know that. What comes next matters. The problem won't wait. The NGI, Next Generation Interceptor, was contracted in 2023 to replace GBIs over the decade. Goal: better reliability, modernized kill vehicle, higher capacity. Deployment starts 2030s. Meanwhile, North Korea keeps developing MyRV. Each test adds data toward operational multiple warheads. The SDA tracking layer will improve satellite detection, might help early warning, but doesn't solve the interception problem. Next decade, North Korea deploys more MIR-Vs, more warheads per missile, wider cost gap, making GMD mathematically obsolete. NGI eventually arrives, but into an environment where the problem's already beyond what it can handle. Here's what nobody mentions. Even if NGI is a real breakthrough, better discrimination, more reliable, North Korea just builds more missiles. The bottleneck isn't tech, it's math. 44 to 64 interceptors? That's 11 targets to maybe 16. North Korea has 60 warheads. This changes nothing against a coordinated attack. The gap doesn't close. It just gets a little smaller while they keep growing. Back to the 3-minute scenario. NORAD detects launch. Operator has 3 minutes to authorize response. What do they know? Interceptors will fire. There'll be decoys the system can't tell apart. Multiple warheads break the math. And the real deterrent? Not Fort Greely. It's the Minuteman III silos in North Dakota, Ohio-class subs in unknown oceans, B-2 bombers ready for takeoff. The operator pushes the button not because they think GMD will definitely work, because it's protocol, because politically and humanly you have to try, and because there's a small chance it works, especially against a simple attack. What protects America isn't the shield, it's the response. The guarantee that any North Korean launch means total destruction. Kim Jong-un wants to keep being Kim Jong-un. That math, not the 44 interceptors, maintains balance. $67 billion bought something that works great politically and barely militarily. North Korea, on a fraction of that budget, built missiles that make the military part worse every day. If this changed how you see missile defense, physical shield that's actually politics, like and subscribe. More analysis coming. And if you want to understand how the real numbers in nuclear strategy never match official claims, the next video covers exactly that.